Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles of the Bust number 573, and today we're going to be doing battle with Teemo, Caitlyn, Wings Giving. And so, up to this point, I feel like it's fairly safe to say the Wings Giving is the strongest card to come out of the Dreamlit Paths, and it's arguably a top 3-ish kind of card within the current standard meta. I don't think it's unseating the Elder Dragon as the strongest thing you can be doing right now, but it's right up there near the top, and I think it certainly warrants quite a bit more exploration. And so, up to this point, you really see kind of two flavors of the Wings Giving deck, right? You have the value-oriented approach to where you're playing undersized units that give you some kind of bonus, and then you upgrade that unit into something else with the Wings Giving. So the common place here would be dropping an improvise unit, right? They're all understated because of the equipment coming onto it. You upgrade the unit with the Wings Giving, it maintains the equipment, and then you have a bigger unit than you should normally be getting. Otherwise, you see the more combo-oriented approaches. We covered off on using the Big Game Tycoon, so you can supercharge a unit, play the Big Game Tycoon, and then transform it later. You're going to have a gigantic Overwhelm Spell Shielded unit that should OTK the opponent. More commonly these days, you're starting to see the Malmutation-based varieties to where you try and Sumpworks map a unit, you upgrade it with the Wings Giving, and then you use Malmutation to make a big board full of elusive units. But the deck we're playing today, this is again much more oriented towards that value-based approach. The thing that was interesting to me is, we're wanting to play Bandle City PNZ because we want to play the Wings Giving Malmutation. What is still good within that faction? What can we do within this faction that could potentially take advantage of the Wings Giving? And that's where the Puff Cap cards come in. They all look quite nice to me in the sense that they come on board. They have a comes into play ability, typically just putting Puff Caps into your hand, and then giving us a ripe target to upgrade with the Wings Giving. And so we have a big piece of that package within our deck today. We have all of the Puff Cap cards that are currently in Standard, or all the Mushroom Cloud cards, I should say, with the Clump of Wumps, the Puff Cap Peddler, and the Chump Wump along with Teemo. Two of those are very powerful targets in terms of getting flips, with the Chump Wump and Clump of Wumps being great Wings Giving plays. We also have a handful of just value-based plays in here with the Conchologist and Portal Pioneer. Another great set of units that can come down early, give us a little bit of early interactivity, generate a spell, generate something to do, and then give us a viable target for the Wings Giving. Last but not least, we have our big target within the deck in Karina. Ideally, Karina can come down and just end the game all on her own, but if that's not the case, she's still very capable of dealing, 6 or 7 damage to the opponent through Puff Caps, and then flipping with the Wings Giving into a bigger play. Otherwise, we still carry the Malmutation. It's not to say that this is going to be as strong in this deck as it would be in the Sumpworks variety, but I feel like this is a place to where the Sumpworks map deck is super all in what it's trying to do, to where this deck is using these things as value-ish plays. And so it still feels completely fine to put down a Chump Wump on turn 4, turn it into a 5-drop, turn it into a 6-drop, turn it into an 8-drop, and then make a bunch of 8-drops with the Malmutation. It's a fairly simple way to try and close out the game on turn 6, and you don't really need all of that bonus work from playing Vise and using Sumpworks maps and stuff. Otherwise, just a little bit of utility with the Chief Knack Attack, since we do have a fair amount of transform stuff within the deck. It is worth noting that both of our champions are reasonably able to flip between Teemo with the Puff Caps and Caitlyn with the Trap activations. Your champion flips do count as transforms for Chief Knack Attack, and so you get a little bit of bonus within this deck without just using the Wings Giving on its own. And then outside of those combos, we have a handful of removal spells in here with the Pie Tosses, the Mystic Shots, and the Piltover Peacemakers, along with a couple of stress defenses. Great ways to protect our units or perhaps stop a big, overwhelming style of attack. And so, that is it. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead, jump on in, see if we can't get ourselves a good game or two. Everybody likes a little Teemo in their day, right? That's a that's a valid way to go about your day. Get a little bit of Teemo, get a little bit of Puff Caps. Hopefully he can avoid the glooms of the world. Vex isn't out here just hating on Teemo as hard as he can. Let's see what we can do. All right, kicking it off. This is the classic, if you will, in terms of what you would see out of Morgana. Morgana, Galio, Elder Dragon, you assume this is Formidables, much more recently replaced with the likes of dragons. And so curious to see what comes out of this. I've been looking to play Formidables, but one of the big things to me with Formidables was the Petricite Broadwing was just so good. You didn't particularly care as much about the oh god, trying to get the deck tracker up and things are going crazy. You didn't particularly care a ton about the full Formidable package as much as Petricite Broadwing was so good that building around it gave you a lot of bonuses on the games to where the big Formidable stuff just didn't come together. And so it's wild. You all remember the days when Petricite Broadwing started as a 0-4 and we weren't even sure if it was going to be a good card? What a bunch of insanity that was. That card was fucking bonkers, just making a 0-4 Broadwing. Who'da thunk it? Who'da thunk it? But alright, let's get things moving here. We got our Portal Pioneer. Seems like a much more reasonable turn to play if we want to just go directly into the Wings Giving, which I'm not opposed to. It's definitely not going to happen now that we drew Chief Knack Attack, but it was something that was certainly on the table. But this is exactly what we're talking about in terms of these just being value cards, right? We play the Portal Pioneer, we get the refund on the mana, we get the choice of the Explorer spell. We took the Blunder, the Quicksand, since we're up against Formidables here, and now we have the chance just to turn this Portal Pioneer into a 3-drop, right? Maybe it just becomes some rando 3-4. If that's all it is at the end of the day, some rando 3-4, it's still picked up a pretty big stat line, and so all around pretty powerful stuff that you're able to do there. But what we're going to be looking to do here, we'll see how this comes together. We can play a different 2-drop. We're going to get the Clump of Wumps on board, and then we're going to see if we can't double upgrade it and then pick up a big Malmutation. Ooh, I guess the other thing is we... Oh, never mind. I was thinking that we already had the Wings Giving on board, and I was like, oh man, we can just play double Wings Giving, bank up that 1 mana, and then try and Malmutation next turn, but a little bit short on that. A little bit short. Who are we looking towards here? Just the safest one, most likely. I guess we can pick up the Slot Bot. It shouldn't be dying this round. And then I think it's going to be granted a bonus, right? When I'm summoned or round start, grant me 0-1 for each card you drew last round. So it should be granted a point of health, which sticks around turn after turn. And then if we transform him again, it's going to keep that stat. I think that's fine. I'm not entirely certain this is going to be a turn to where we want to Malmutation. Right, this game is still young, and we have some opportunities to just go for bigger plays, but that might be something that's on the table. You ever playing elemental cards? The Forge is another thing that would just stick around. I don't think so. Yeah, these are fairly understated units. I think that we're going to want to try and protect our big investment here for another round. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it in. You know, if opponent had a bigger Formidable, it would be a little bit more scary, but I don't think what he's presenting here is too bad. And then at the end of the day, if he does have a way to come in and just take down the Mega Tusk, we're still ready to follow up with Karina. Like, it might even just be better to play Karina and transform her into an 8-drop and just kind of give up on this Mega Tusk out here. It's tempting. That's very tempting. I think I'm going to go for that. So we'll see. We still have a little bit of protection in hand, right? If he wants to play a Gentleman's Duel on his Mountain Drake and try and strike down the Mega Tusk, the more I think about this, the more fine I am with it, as to where if he plays it, we can Peacemaker down the Dragon. He's going to lose his unit in the trade, and then we just follow up with Karina. Like, we can play Karina for plants instead of activations and then just swap her into an 8. That seems pretty decent to me. But I'm fairly confident that we're about to get smashed by a Gentleman's Duel. Oh, a suppression thing. Okay. I still kind of want to hang on to this mana. Hang on, that's suppression. That's okay. We can just go ahead and get rid of it. Like, I'm wanting to drop the Malmutation, but This turn can get a little dicey next round if he's... oh, just another Wings Giving. If we're not able to cast spells. Maybe we do go big now. Now that we have the second Wings Giving, we're able to turn the Mega Tusk into a 6 with the Wings Giving here, turn it into a 7 with the Wings Giving right after, and then we'll be up in that big 8-drop space on the following turn. That's typically where you're looking to go, is that 8-drop space, getting you the option to...
Like a storm, I bring change.
Getting you the option to have like a big overwhelm. Kind of annoying there. Kind of annoying.
Karina?
All right, Karina it is.
Business and pleasure shared.
We'll still have that 8 mana next turn to cast Malmutation if we want.
Let us soar.
All right, who's interesting in here? Grandfather Rummel is always interesting, having the Overwhelm spell shield. Like, I think we can take Rummel and then just plan to not cast the Wings Giving. Hang on, we're out of mana anyways. Where am I going about that we're going to be able to cast all of these Wings Givings? I don't think that's on the table. I don't think it's on the table. This big ass play's on the table though. He's going to need 2 fast spells to try and get out of this. And then even with that working, he's going to lose his Mountain Drake at the end of the day. Here we go. What up, Rommel friends? That's a fine way to finish off a game, huh? Oh shit, I forgot my emotes again. Yeah, I'm gonna fix my emotes after this game. I really wish there was a way to make them stick around a little easier, but it is what it is. I can show you all how to set up your emotes. You might have forgotten by this point how to do it right, and so I'll be glad to help. Do you just emote and quit? Is that are we taking screenshots for Reddit? I'm not entirely certain what's happening here. Just ruined this dude's shit. Sitting down at work trying to play a game. Go to the old bathroom. You say, "Hey boss, I got to take a 15. It's shit time." Go in there. Fire up the old Legends of Runeterra. Then you got to face down 5 Grandfather Rummels. Womp womp. Alright, here we go.
Off I go.
Nice, not a bad little day. Not a bad little day. I'm glad we saw some slot bot in here as well. I'm kind of tinkering with a little bit of slot bot in the standard space as well. I don't know if it's gonna make it, but now that I see that it's a grant ability, I'm just kind of like, oh, well, we'll just play the Wings Giving with this guy. I did spend quite a bit of time just looking for grant abilities to use with the Wings Giving. Like, that was how I kind of came about with the Shurima stuff. Is it wasn't even about the big game Tycoon. It was about granting with Supercharge, right? You can grant abilities to your units and they stick with the Wings Giving. And that's how I got about that. Hang on, we got to fix this real quick. It's very important. Where you at? The Traps Giving. How do you even do this anymore? Emotes. They always hang on to good game. Remember that. I like to use Heart and Soul down here at the bottom. This little Evelyn making the heart things. That's always kind of nice. Cupcake is a big one. You get to come in. You usually go up top. Laser Kitty always goes in the top left. I've been keeping Heartbreaker down here at the bottom. Now, the one that's been kind of flexible for me is I typically use this right here with Echo, and then our flex one is the Heart Evelyn thing. But I've been kind of switching in to watch this with whoever this is, one of these KDA ladies, and I think that would have been, a very appropriate emote in that last game. As we're about to put 5 Rummels on the board, I feel like watch this would have been a very good emote to put forward, and so we'll bring it in. maybe we'll get the opportunity for some more good emote usage. I can teach you all how to do it, and so. That was one of the things that got me with like backpack battles, right? Is you play games like this, you play games like Hearthstone, where it's like physical back and forth with another human being, and you get to communicate with the emotes. That's kind of neat. But with backpack battles, the way it was set up to where you're technically playing against a human opponent, but maybe not at that exact moment, you didn't get to do emotes or anything, and it always just felt kind of weird. But all right, we'll take a mulligan here. As far as mulligans go, I want to I am still fine to get rid of things like Pie Toss against Morgana Yasuo. It's going to be a slow deck, but always looking for Teemo, always looking for the Wings Giving, and then after that, we're just kind of looking to pick up 2-drop units. And so, Malmutation, while it is one of the kind of main points that the deck is looking to pull off, not something we really need in the early game or really need at all. I feel like it's probably the kind of card to where it would be fairly safe to only play 2 copies of it instead of 3. But if you're trying to put together the highlight reel, sometimes you just gotta have it, you know? And say this should be a safe attack. He doesn't have any mana left over to make recalls onto the Blade Twirler. And then if he wants to take the damage and fall to a Perilous Pastry, that's all well and good to me. Now, it's kind of interesting here. I'm going to go ahead and run out the Teemo. There shouldn't be ways for him to be able to kill Teemo, right? Teemo is fairly important in this space as well. And we do have the mana behind for a stress defense, but I think the Chump Wump is going to be okay here. The way that this is kind of a bummer is if he plays Yasuo and then has a Steel Tempest or something to take Teemo off of the board, we've lost that ability to protect him with the stress defense. Sure. Not super important here, right? We're not anywhere near getting the double puff cap hit in. Now with this, it's kind of an interesting attack. I'm curious to see if he just like drops a recall. This is the point where we would most certainly prefer to see him drop a recall. It didn't happen. This is another space to where you could certainly see it happen. We'll throw away the Teemo so he just doesn't get it for free. But I'm kind of envisioning we may end up stress defensing out of this. Just want to get him to start blowing his interactivity. Oh. Not how I expected that round to go. Maybe he didn't anticipate we would just throw away Teemo. Alright, everybody's at risk now, but we do have the stress defense to try and fight through the Yasuo if we need to. This is only 2 damage to the Chump Wump, so it'll probably be fine. Not super worried about losing any of these. And we need to just start popping off with these puff caps. Probably a little greedy. We probably should have held on to one of those so we could stress defense, but it is what it is. That's a valid reason for everything, huh? Yeah, it is what it is. That's kind of scary.
I do all right.
So where we stand here, when he gains the attack token, it does stuff we don't want to see. Like at this point, I feel like we're just going to play Karina and Popper, and then try and Malmutation into Karina, and have the 5/5/5s on the board. Like, I guess the question is, would we prefer to plant flash bomb traps? Nah, I don't think so. That doesn't sound like plant is good. Seems like we need to end this thing. Once this Yasuo flips, we're gonna be kind of fucked. So let's see where we're at. 5 damage, that's about right.
Big blade for a little warrior.
I mean, he's only got 2 cards in hand. What are the chances that he has a way to stop this malmutation? Like a recall would do it. Deny would be kind of whatever. We're hoping that he starts trying to... Well, we're hoping he just doesn't have anything, right? If he stuns the unit, you transform into stunned versions of the unit so he can't attack this turn. But the place there is we can stress defense this Yasuo. So he only does 1 damage on the strikes. So we'll see the way this comes about. The other thing of note is if he does kill the unit, we get the 2 Alcats. And so it's not like we play this and just don't get anything out of it. We'll still have a couple of plays here. Oh, that's got to be good, right? I don't think he knows that if he stunned the unit, we couldn't attack this turn. Seems like he has the stun in hand, but didn't use it. I'd say this is a fairly viable use of malmutation, right? I know that there's a lot of like the big flashy combo style of decks running around, but I mean this is enough, right? Just being like, oh, I guess we turned all of these units I already extracted value out of into some big boys, big girls in this space, you know. Another valid question here is if we can just actually kill with the insider knowledge. It's probably kind of close. Right, sure.
Maybe I do have a future.
So Yasuo is going to be off the board before the stun damage hits.
Here's our chance.
The seed is planted.
I don't think this is going to be lethal, but we'll go ahead and send it. We're at about a damage a card. Womp womp. Here's the wings giving. Maybe something.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren. You cannot break a shattered soul.
Anything cool in here? Get impact off the ferocious fluff. I guess that's decent enough. The fearsome isn't going to quite cut it here. And then we're just gonna malmutate again next round. Seems legit. Supposed to just kill him. Puff Cap's hitting him from every direction. Hey, it's our boy Rummel again. He's proven himself to be valuable in these situations. This was not on my bingo card for the day. Getting Rummel kills back to back. All right, fine. Kind of lame, dude. Kind of lame.
Follow the wind.
Rummel's still pretty close to just finishing this on his own, right?
Into the dark.
All right, stress defense won't cut it. It's
I
gonna hit.
don't do meditation.
Yasuo is going to strike in on the strongest, so we could look to stress defense, but that's not going to be enough. Sumpworks map's pretty interesting as well.
Astounding
Give us a way to zing him next turn. Still think we're fine. He's got to do a bit of work. He's got to dodge puff caps for the rest of the game.
all right.
Boom. Hi. GG. Well played. Good job, Bust. It's always good to tell yourself good job. Move on to the next one. That is not on the bingo card. The grandfather Rummel overwhelm action, picking up the spell shield overwhelm. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I haven't respected Rummel since the days of Expedition, and so he was a serious game closer in the days of Expedition, but hasn't really seen much since. It's Slotbot though. Maybe that's where the next video is gonna be. The Slotbot Wings Giving, granting all of the stat bonuses with the Slotbot. I'm getting there. I think I'm starting to cook with that. All right, up against the Elder Dragon Freylord. We kind of tipped off on this deck in our last video, or maybe the one before. With this, like, we're just definitely gonna dig for the Wings Giving. We're never going to like go toe to toe with literally any of their units, and so gonna just try and dig for the Wings Giving and finish the game off before that they can get Warden of the Tribes on the board. So, bit of a bummer with the Omen Hawk opener, but we'll manage. Not going to spend the mana here. It reeks of a Sky Splitter, but we should be able to safely just drop the Puffcat Peddler, Mystic Shot down the Omen Hawk, and then if he has the Sky Splitter, he has to use it to protect the Omen Hawk, so we just know. But this is fine. He plays Ramp card. We know his combats are just dog shit now. We get to attack with everybody. That feels good. Don't have to worry about a Ice Shard at this point either. I have to imagine if he had the Ice Shards for 1 damage Lysandra AoE, he would have just slapped that block directly down with the Feral Mystic to get the Puffcat Peddler off of the board.
Do like a yodel in uniform.
And we yordles in uniform do like a wump.
Alright, we'll take the Gnar hit. Teemo's still safe. I think we should be able to get the flip Teemo hit in this turn. Like, it's very tough for the opponent to have something that can outdo that. I think we want Caitlyn. It's going to be tough to get a viable combat with the Wings Giving, but we'll see if we can't upgrade the Chump Wump. I don't think there's any cards here where... Oh, there are cards we're scared of. We're scared of the 6-cost dragons. Maybe we should have opened with Teemo here. Ancient Yeti's fine. Okay. Yeah. I like this less. Like, the chances of us hitting a relevant unit with the Chump Wump that can combat against Gnar were pretty low. But it's definitely viable that the opponent has the red dragon that deals 2 damage, or they have the... what's it called? The Quicksand Dragon out of Shurima. Both of those would have dealt with Teemo and been pretty problematic.
Ooh, quite a collection. Swiftly.
Just drew Gnar for the turn. Must be nice. That would have gotten us pretty close to the kill. Getting those double puff caps in and then coming up to a Karina. Like, I think that we're still fairly safe at this point, but that would have definitely been strong. Now we find our combo. It's another tough one, right? With our bird being vulnerable. Just a very real chance that if we use the Wings Giving on it, it doesn't get up to 6/6 and it's not capable of battling with Gnar. I'm still gonna go for it, I guess. Like, it's just like guaranteed to fail if we don't attempt to upgrade it.
When nature calls, a vandal scout. I've been down in the sump, haven't you?
bit of a bummer. And so, like, do we, like, how hard do we just have to count on Karina at this point?
I've always been a fun.
I love to smell mushrooms in the morning.
Like, are we ever going... if we're going to play Karina next turn, we don't have the mana to play Malmutation, so we should probably just go and get Caitlyn on board as well. And so we're just going to look to start with Karina, convert her up into an 8-drop, and see where that gets us.
I aim to win, and my aim is excellent.
Push on without me.
Does that change anything? Like, we do have the opportunity to do, say, double draws. Maybe hit some puff caps, right? He's about 1 per card, so he could maybe get in with Caitlyn. No, the Karina is just going to
Karina,
give us way more activations to level up with Caitlyn.
And pleasure, Sheriff.
Now the only 3 in the top 5. Fuck. Like, we're very close to getting that Caitlyn kill, right? She's going to hit for 4. If we'd hit the full 5, we would have gotten the lethal here.
like a storm, I bring change.
Still some big units we can hit off the Wings Giving, though. And we have a stress defense for next turn, so not necessarily immediately dead. Would we prefer Eraston? I think so. What is dead may never die, you know? He has a fairly safe block with the Cloud Drake, but we'll get our unit back. Oh, maybe not. Why didn't... Oh, we didn't summon it. Shit. Okay. That's on me. So, yeah, we know we're dead at this point. What the fuck? It's like the top 4 cards of his deck just don't have puff caps on him, I guess. He hit 3 on that one. No, this draw's just like... I'm pretty certain this just hits for 0, but... Dang. Well, that was a fairly sloppy set of games, but... I don't think that's terrible. I think that's still a fairly decent match for us to get into. The thing with that deck is, like, the majority of the versions have very, very, very limited interactivity. And so we should be able to get in for Teemo hits, like, very, very frequently. Like, if you saw the version that we played, the version that I played in our video has just, like, way, way, way more interactivity than you typically see out of these Warden of the Tribes decks. Like, I personally played 2 Flash Freezes, 2 Harsh Winds, 2... Ice Shards, and then 2 Red Dragons and 2 Yellow Dragons. And so, like, that's a lot of interactivity that you typically don't see out of these. Like, most of these are the kind of people that a Kaido would make fun of in the sense that you just play, like, no interactivity and then just a bunch of big dudes, and then, like, you go and rage post on Reddit because you're playing a deck with 1 Vengeance as the interactivity and you didn't draw it and the game was over. And so, like, that's what you typically see out of the more common Warden lists. And so I thought that's what we were going to be getting into there and having a very active Teemo. But running into that singular copy of Gnar was a real pain in the dick. Or I guess I should say the 2 copies of Gnar. The flip is what was causing the problems. Here, this is safe, right? There's no cheap plays coming out of this Dragon's deck that can interact with Teemo. And so we should get a shot to deal the 2 damage with the Clump of Wumps. Sure.
Just trying to help.
Alright, now let's start ramping. Not going to load up on the chump. We're on the clump, we're going to load up on the chump here.
Put on me mask, secure me tail, start the day.
right, what do you got for us here? I'm leaning, it's tough. I'm kind of leaning towards the elusive. He's already played his one way to like deal damage to the units here. So it feels like he's going to be the safest option that we have. Just kind of needing him to come down and not die. What you got now? I go for the big dragon. And then with the conchologist, really just looking for a combat trick. Didn't turn up. Give an ally with an attachment the stats and keywords of its attachment. Okay, I was gonna say, like, is there a way that we can just move these abilities around and feel pretty happy about it? Doesn't seem like it. Let's bank up this mana. We got to pop off with these puff caps here soon, but we need something good to pop off with. And the malmutation turns up. Is it gonna be Rummel again? I've gotten kind of used to this Rummel turning up. Go with the spider friends, I guess. Not certain if this other deck can deal with this at fast speed. It's not something you typically see out of Targon. LOL. LOL. That feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to just drop that shit. Rando Dragon, he needs to hit a tough or something on it. Yep, sure. Not the end of the world. Got him. Zinged him real good. And so that's where we're gonna call it for the day. You know, we're approaching the 45-minute mark. I like to cut these down between 30 and 45 minutes these days. We can pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. You know, again, I think this is a fairly interesting take on this deck. I'm glad that we got to really go after both approaches with this, right? We had the Teemo game against the Freylord deck, and then the other games kind of turned into this malmutation deck. But you can see as to where when you're using the Wings Giving, it just doesn't matter to a large degree about playing these combos, right? I always feel like the question you have to ask yourselves with these kind of combo decks in regards to the malmutation kind of things is, you know, how good is the deck when it's good and how bad is it when it's bad? And whenever you're just going all in with like the Sumpworks map and everything, that just feels like too much to me, right? It's like whenever you're going for the game and it doesn't come together, like you don't draw the Wings Giving, then your deck is just dog shit, right? The deck doesn't do anything if you haven't been able to get the Wings Giving down, to get the upgrades, and then like convert from there. And so that's what really draws me to this kind of Teemo style of deck, is to where when things go wrong with the Wings Giving, right? If we have games to where we just don't draw the Wings Giving, we're still in it, right? We're still a very viable puff caps based Teemo Caitlyn style of deck that just happens to have the Wings Giving in it. And I feel like this is what we would really see a lot of if best of 3 was allowed to be a thing. Like if we were approaching the Open, which would be like this weekend, then having the triple Wings Giving lineup strikes me as something that would be very powerful because it's just such a powerful ability. It doesn't need the you know, the components to go right with it. And so you could see how we were able to just say, all right, well, I guess I'm playing Karina and upgraded her into something big. I guess we're just going to turn Chumpwump into an 8-drop and make that be Rummel and Smash, right? None of those components were necessitatively, right? They didn't need the Wings Giving to be good, but they were a nice complement to each other. And so I think it's a very interesting take, something that has the potential to be strong. And I'm curious to see if we can't figure out some other good ways to use the Wings Giving, cough the slot bot, and have a good time with that in the upcoming days. And so, good set of games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So, if everyone enjoyed the video, hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Bust to Me. Thank you for being here.